Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. I am going to briefly talk about Adi Shankara's life, works and contribution. As we all know that Shankara Jayanti is on 21st April. So in that context, I would like to briefly talk about the greatness of Adi Shankaracharya. When India's spiritual vision was fading into ritual and fragmentation, a young monk arose to restore clarity. That was Adi Shankaracharya. He revitalized Vedanta, he re-established Advaita and unified Dharma, philosophy and devotion. His central declaration was Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Brahman alone is real, the world is not absolutely real. The individual self is none other than Brahman. According to Shankara, Brahman is Nirguna, without any attributes. He is Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness and bliss. Liberation is not something to be attained, but something to be realized. To understand his life, we see three lenses. The oldest is the Anandagiri, the monastic record, where we have glimpses on his life and works. The other important, most popular is Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya, written by Swami Vidyaranya, the 12th pontiff of Sringeri Mata. He describes Advaita Sri Adi Shankara's life as the advent of divine descent. The one sitting under the tree, that is Lord Dakshinamurti, the Shiva, the teacher of the supreme truth, through the medium of silence, has left his place of meditation. He is now moving about in the form of Shankaracharya, imparting his precious advice of knowledge to the world. Shankara was born to Aryamba and Shivaguru, a Nambudri Brahmana family. Shankaracharya's birthplace was Kaladi in Kerala, on the banks of the river Purna. The event of birth of Sri Shankaracharya coincides to 788 AD, and that marks the beginning of the revival of the Vedic system as described by Sri Vidyaranya Mahaswamigal in his Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya. Shivaguru, the father of Adi Shankara, passes away when Shankara was yet a child. His mother Aryambya brought him up and performed Upanayinam according to the traditions. The boy Shankara proved to be prodigy and completed his Vedic education and Sanskrit studies very early in life. The young Shankara, moved by the miserable condition of the large-hearted of a lady who could not offer any bhiksha, composed instantaneously a hymn on goddess Lakshmi, praying for the family to be benefited with the wealth. So that was the Kanakadara Sotram. The third source what we have is from the modern scholars, the inputs in the historical critical analysis. To truly understand Shankara, history will tell you what he did. Digvijaya text will tell you what he represents. His Bhashya commentary on Prasthanatraya will tell you who he is. He takes sannyasa at a very young age. The crocodile story, according to the modern scholars, is symbolic. He leaves home for spiritual pursuit at the age of 8 years. He meets his Guru Govinda Bhagavat Pada on the banks of river Narmada at Omkareshwara, receives Advaita teachings. Again, the story of controlling the river floods, entering into the ashram of his Guru, and composing of the hymn called as Narmada Shatkam is again by the modern scholars as symbolic. He established Advaita as a system and its revival, and his famous commentary or Bhashya on Prasthanatraya is still today regarded as one of the greatest works. Bhashya on Brahma Sutra, Bhashya on Upanishads, and Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita. His Bharatavarsha travel, Digvijaya, was between the age of 12 to 32 years, travels widely across Bharat, engages with scholars of Mimamsa, Buddhism and other schools of philosophy, and debates with them, and propounds the advantage and greatness of Advaita philosophy. One of the most memorable debate is with Mandana Mishra, the Shishya of Kumara Bhattila, who was an authority on Mimamsa. Later became his disciple after getting defeated in the debate, Sureshwaracharya. Shankaracharya attained Samadhi at the age of 32 years, Videha Mukti, disappeared into the mountains of Himalaya in Kedarnath. That gives us 20 years of active teaching and travel of Adi Shankara. The core philosophy of Advaita is not denial, but final reconciliation. When ignorance ends, duality ends. When duality ends, only Brahman remains. This is Advaita. Shankara emphasis on non-duality is not a theory. It is the only logical, consistent absolute. Duality explains experience. Advaita explains reality. Advaita doesn't reject bhakti. It culminates in identity. Devotion is the path. Knowledge is the destination. Shankara himself composed sutras. Shankara does not merely argue against duality. He shows that duality cannot even be coherently established either by Shruti or by reason. His Shishyas, the four Shishyas, the first Sananda, later called as Padmapada, an intellectual commentator, Sureshwaracharya, a philosophical giant, Hastamalaka, a born realized, Totaka, transformed by Guru's grace into intellect. Why did Shankara compose sutras? To make philosophy accessible, to combine devotion with non-duality, to guide common people towards moksha. His famous sutras or Shiva sutras, Devi sutras, Vishnu sutras, Krishna sutras, and also the Advaita sutras, philosophical. When he meets his Guru Govinda Bhagavad Pada, who was in Samadhi, intuitively learns that this young boy is of his greatness, and he comes out and asks the boy, "Who are you?" Shankara replied in terms of indicative of his great spiritual attainment. The hymn, what is popularly known as Nirvana Shatakam or Atma Shatakam. In Varanasi, Adi Shankara encounters a Chandala with dogs, and the Chandala, avatar of Shiva, reignites the deception to Adi Shankara to see the world as Atman only and worship it irrespective of whether he is a Brahmana or outcast by birth. And the hymn, that was dialogue between the Chandala and Shankaracharya, is the famous Manisha Panchakam. Some of the works are debated historically by the modern scholars and also other writers, especially Shotras, which they say it was composed by Shankara, but the essence of Shankara's intellect is missing in those Shotras. And even the Prakaranaganta Viveka Chudamani is also debated. Shankara established the four Amanya Mats to sustain and foster the sacred tradition of Sanatana Dharma, keeping in mind that the mats should serve as places of spiritual wisdom and peace for all seekers of truth. He established Puri in the east, Dwaraka in the west, Badrinath in the north, and Sringeri in the south. And also the famous ascent of Sarvagna Pita by Shankara at Kashmir region signifies the trump of doctrine of Advaita. The four gates of the Pita is very well known. He is the principal propounder of the Dasha Sannyasa Sampradaya, the monastic system. The 10 orders, Dashanama Sannyasa, Giri, Puri, Bharati, Tirtha, Ashrama, Vana, Aranya, Parvata, Sagara, Saraswati. Based on the area and region, geographical location, the sannyasis had to propagate the knowledge of Advaita. preserve Vedantic teaching, and maintain the discipline and identity of Sannyasa Dharma. His Digvijaya Yatra across the Bharat literally means conquest in all directions. For Shankara, it was not a political conquest, but a spiritual and intellectual journey across Bharatavarsha to re-establish Vedic Dharma, teach Advaita Vedanta, engage Shastrartha, organize monastic tradition. He unified Bharatavarsha spiritually in one lifetime. From Kerala to Kashmir, from Dwarka to Puri, all before the age of 32 years. Adi Shankaracharya stands as an eternal flame of wisdom, whose light still guides the spiritual destiny of India. He is a master of razor-sharp intellect and boundless compassion. He did not merely interpret truth, he revealed it as a living experience. He rekindled the fading fire of Vedanta, unified diverse streams of Dharma, and gave the world the timeless vision of Advaita, the oneness of all existence. His words continue to echo through monasteries, scriptures, and the silent depths of the seeker's heart. Even today, in the age of noise and division, his message resounds with unmatched clarity. You are not limited, you are the infinite Brahman. He was not just a philosopher, but a civilizational awakener, a spiritual revolutioner, a bridge between knowledge and devotion. As long as the quest for truth lives, Adi Shankaracharya lives in us. Hari Om. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutrabhashukatav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah.